Здравствуйте, меня зовут Matilda, and I will talk to you about the aesthetics of Shadow and Bone, a Netflix TV show. Welcome.
Intro?
Hi, hello. When I saw the trailer for Shadow and Bone, I was interested right away, even though it's based in Gracia-verse, so on a book series, Shadow and Bone. I have read the sequel series, or part of the sequel series, Six of Crows, and I didn't like it. However, the trailer looked so good that I was very interested. I'm very glad that I watched it because the show is great. I truly recommend it. I feel like one of its biggest advantages is its aesthetics, and that's what I'm here to talk about. I've come across a little bit, some obstacles. I have so much schoolwork that I find it difficult to focus, but let me tell you what the show is about first. I'll read a quick summary. In a world where dark forces have taken over, a young mapmaker, Alina Starkov, accidentally discovers that she has the power to change the fate of the war. She is the only one who has the power to summon light, and this will make her play a key role in this war. The whole series is set mostly in the country of Ravka, which is surrounded by mountains in the south and in the east, which are very difficult to cross. In the north, there is a country, Fierda, which is at war with Ravka, and also the country is split into two parts, east and west, by the Fold, which is this magical barrier, a huge dark wall occupied by Volcra, which are creatures that aim to kill people who cross over. And people want to cross over because there is a war with Fierda. And also because in Ravka, some people are born Grisha, so magicians. And magicians' cultures. There are 13 Slavic countries. 3 of them have a Western Slavic language, so Poland, Slovakia, and Czech Republic. 3 of them have Eastern Slavic language, so Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. And bear in mind that vast majority of Russia is in Asia. So there is a ton of other languages there as well. But the official language of the country is Russian, so Eastern Slavic. And the other countries, which are Bulgaria, Croatia, Montenegro, Macedonia, Serbia, and Slovenia, they are in the Balkans. The Balkan countries, both Slavic and non-Slavic, have more in common with each other than other Slavic countries. Poland is kind of in the middle. It does have some features in common culturally with Eastern Slavic countries. However, for the most part, it is closer to Czech and Slovakian Republic. It has a lot of in common with Lithuania, which has a Baltic language as an official language. I just show you a couple of Polish traditional folk outfits.
Polish folk clothing varies a lot from region to region, of course. On the first pictures you see outfits from the period where Polish gentry came up with the idea that they actually originated not from Slavic lands, but were descendants of Sarmaci, which were like a Middle Eastern people, I believe. These coats are called żupans, and these clothes here are from 2 different regions.
Including me in my prom outfit. It's not a tradition to wear those kind of outfits. I kind of stood out with my best friend, but I really love that outfit. And also, that's how Ukrainian traditional outfits look like. And those are Russian folk outfits. So now that we have established that those cultures are separate, it turns out that it wasn't even a problem, because I found a very old interview with Lee Bardugo, the author of Grisha-verse, who said that Ravka, particularly, was inspired by 1800s Tsarist Russia. And my brain understood that as 18th century, so 1700s. And when Fyodor III was that's ruling Tsar, the fashion worn in court was traditional Russian fashion. So the sarafan dresses and kokoshnik hats and just Russian kind of kaftan-shaped male outfits. But Piotr completely overruled that type of court dress and forced Russians to wear French-inspired outfits. And by French-inspired, I meant that the best way to pass in the court, to get into the court, was to have actual French garments, or at least have them made by French-trained tailors from French imported fabrics. And that's relevant only in the sense that in the 19th century, so early 1800s, the actual epoch that the show was inspired by, aesthetically reached a point where court dress was something in the middle. The court formal dresses had aesthetically were somewhere in the middle between French and Russian fashions. To be completely clear, to me they looked like French silhouettes with Russian detailing. And the male formal wear had even less Russian detailing and more so like universal international cuts and some finer Russian details. I'm not going to focus too much on it. And having said all of that, there's very little time spent in the court in the show. So we see some dresses which vaguely are reminiscent of the Russian court fashion. However, the only people who can really pay attention to are the monarchs. So I feel that Alexander and Nikolai, who are actually named the same as the queen's dress, had this very typical Russian silhouette of split sleeve. What's also interesting that we can see that the queen's servant in the background is wearing a very Russian sarafan inspired silhouette. As I said, we don't really spend a lot of time in court. 90% of the time is spent with Rafkan military, both Grisha, so magician, and non-magician. Let's focus on a non-magician first. Non-magician Grisha soldiers wear standard army green uniforms. They also change them depending on the climate. I really like the winter variant of the uniform and its corresponding fur hat. That hat shape is very stereotypically and actually Russian. That's like a very traditional hat shape. If you see it on the street in Poland, people think that's a Russian hat. And the only commentary I have is that the military in the show, their uniforms are all of them army green, and in actual Russian military they were also black and navy. However, because Grisha's uniforms were colorful, I understand the aesthetic choice to go with just one uniform army green color. I feel they were also very stylish and they had this kind of Russian silhouette. I approve. And then we're going to Grisha. What was Grisha silhouette inspired by? Grisha silhouette was inspired completely 100% by this one traditional, not even court, but common folk coat called kaftan. And in the show it's called kefta. But kefta, which was a men's coat, a kaftan, which was a men's coat, gave inspiration to all of Grisha fashion and uniforms, both men's and women's. Grisha uniforms correspond to the powers that they wield. There are three types of Grisha: etherealky, corporalky, and materialky. By the way, the magic is not called magic there, it's called small science. Okay, so corporalky wear red uniforms and they can deal with human body. They can be healers, heart renders, so like military, the opposite of healer, like damage makers. Or tailors, so people who can shape human body. It doesn't have a permanent effect, but they can, for example, make you look more beautiful for a time. They are etherealky, who have the power over elements, so fire, water, air, and also light and darkness. So Alina and General Kirigan, who are important, they are also part of a hierarchy, but they wear their own uniforms. The others wear blue uniforms, and they distinguish between each other by the embroidery of their coats. So if the embroidery on a blue coat is red, it means that they have a power over fire, and blue, it means water. We don't really interact with any tide makers, so water magicians in the show. And the last one are materialki, so people who have power over either chemicals or physical substances and they can manipulate them. They wear purple. And I don't know about the embroidery distinguishing them at all. Also, if Gracia work in the palace, they wear cream-colored clothing. You can compare the queen's servant and Genia. Genia is a queen's tailor, so as per her words, she's responsible for making the queen look younger and her boobs not sag. That's her official job. And she's wearing cream, however, she's still wearing the kefta silhouette. The kefta silhouette is essentially just a coat which is tight-fitting to your natural waist and then looser down. And now let's move to Alina and General Kirigan. First, General Kirigan. General Kirigan manipulates darkness, and because he wants to stand out and because he's the most powerful, he wears black, and his silhouette kind of differs from the other, not only by color, but also by style. It's the most elaborate and it's made to look the most like luxurious. Alina, at the start of the show, wears regular human army uniform. My favorite uniform of hers is the outfit that she wears when she's presented in court for the first time. She wears this weird veil, which I love, and it's the only ornate thing about her. She wears an army coat and a very loose flowing skirt. She looks like a perfect image of a female soldier from like war propaganda. Like very, very, very humble, but also tailored and clean, not very ornate, naturally pretty. She just reminds me very much, like this outfit, I feel, though it's very ugly on purpose, I feel it's the most calculated and does so much storytelling with the way that it looks. I'm sorry for the quality of some pictures. I couldn't find official art or official pictures of certain things. And then she graduates into a Gracia Etherealki uniform, so blue. Hers is embroidered with gold for her power of light. And then because she's more in league with Kirigan or Kiligan, I don't know, she dons black with golden embroidery to match him better, because they are supposed to be a duo fighting together to defeat to erase the fold or whatever. But it's also interesting that whenever she's made to wear official clothing, she's not wearing the court dress, she's wearing more ornate keftas. To signify that she's still Gracia and make her stand out. It's so weird that the aesthetic of a whole culture is clearly based on one garment, but I do, in general, really, really appreciate the costumes of the show for many, many things. First of all, I really like that they are temperature appropriate. Second of all, I appreciate the coverage. To be honest, I like when costumes or outfits cover more of the body, not even for modesty, but I feel that there is more that can be done with more fabric. You know, you can only do so much with a bikini, even more with a t-shirt, and if you're covered here to here, then there's plenty to be done. I really love that the different orders of Gracia are distinguished by different types of embroidery. I really love the silhouette. I think it's very flattering. It appeals. It's generally kind of the silhouette that the swashbuckling pirates wear. It's very flattering, gender neutral, looks good on everybody. I stan, and I would definitely wear it. Well, I just love everything about it. Now, let's move on to the second aspect of aesthetics, which is casting. I really, really love the casting of Malen Oretsev. Alina as well as Kirigan. I feel that it was a very good casting. The characters are a bit aged up from the book, so from 19 they clearly look like in their early 20s, at least Alina and Malen do, and Kirigan is 30 something, so you know, Ben Barnes is his age. I really like that because the story is, I think, works better with older characters. I think that all of them are absolutely beautiful people and definitely good enough actors. They just do a good job. They are all likable. Well, Malen and Alina are likable. Ben Barnes does a good job. We'll mention first that I haven't read Gracia, so the trilogy that the actual show is based on. I read most of Six of Crows and I really didn't like it. I didn't like it because the book, it's a young adult novel, so the characters are teenagers, however they act like adults and I don't like it. I like when teenagers in books about teenagers act like teenagers, even mature teenagers, but they were clearly people who should be 20 something but just not being that and sometimes throwing tantrums. Also, I didn't really bond with any characters, and the book is told from 6 or more perspectives of each of the crows. 5 of the 6 of crows are present. The show introduces them so early because I think there are plans to film all of the Grishaverse books, of which there are at least 5, will be more, or maybe there already are more. So they introduce the characters, they can then transition to focus on them more. The aesthetics of Six of Crow characters are very, very heavily linked with Kevin Wada art. Kevin Wada is an illustrator who did official art for the book. That's a piece of his that I bought a long time ago. And people got very, very used to it because he's amazing and his art is great. And I believe that they did a very good job. Inej, Nina, and Jesper resemble their drawn counterparts the most, I feel. Matthias has a similar vibe but different haircut. Kaz goes for a different aesthetic, and I feel that it's better because he looks like a very badass older guy on the art, and in the show he looks like somebody who tries to be intimidating, sometimes succeeds, not always, and is generally has a very down vibe. I really, really like that. And when in the books I didn't like any of these characters, in the show the actors bring so much into the characters. Jesper is so charismatic. Kaz is, well, I won't say he's likable, I still don't like him, but he's very, I can really empathize with him very well. Matthias doesn't have a lot of screen time. Nina does not as well, however Nina again is very charismatic, and I feel that the actress really embodies the character. And Inej is the best of the best. She can do no wrong and is wonderful, and I absolutely love the way that she was portrayed. I think that if you like the books, the Six of Crows, you will be satisfied with the amount of screen time that they get, as well as their characterization. Or at least I hope so. Kaz, Inej, and Jesper spend most of the time together. Nina and Matthias's storyline is really in the back of the show, gets the least amount of screen time, and actually that's one of the criticisms I have for the show, is that the relationship between Nina and Matthias didn't really have enough time to be established. I don't feel that their storyline works very well, but I guess it works well enough. The show is very well paced, so I understand why they made the choices they made. It doesn't really hurt a lot. However, if you love Nina and Matthias, you will be disappointed with the amount of time that's spent on them. And now point number 3, which is the special effects. This will be a very short segment. I just want to say that I really loved special effects in this show. They are definitely good enough. They are believable. Apart from the bit where Alina glows with light, everything looks good, and you can believe that the magic is happening on screen. They use the effects sparingly. They don't use magic all the time, which makes sense, because if your magic is water and you cannot create water, you can only manipulate it, you can't really do much when there's no water around you. The fold is also looks very, very good. You can believe it. I don't know. I don't have a lot of words. The stag looks a tiny bit clunky, but they put him in a rather dark scene for most of his screen time, so that truly works as well. And Alina using her powers outside of the times that she completely glows also looks good enough. So, to wrap things up, please watch this show. If you like fantasy and intrigue and heists, you will like the show. It's very good, very well paced. The characters are likable. The plot is believable, and I can't wait for season 2. Is my point. I hope you'll like this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Or you can also check out my Reddit or Instagram. I am everycraft on both. The links are in the description. Thank you for hanging out with me, and bye bye.